to our next leg on our trip around the world using Straightway. Straightway is a navigation app I wrote myself. You can see it on the left side of the screen. And I tweaked it a little bit so it can be used as a VFR backup navigation system. So these series aim to demonstrate the capabilities of Straightway. Though it is demonstrated in the flight simulator, it's really meant for real-life use. So today, the last trip yesterday, we arrived here from Karachi, and so we're now in Mumbai, exactly where we arrived, parked our plane yesterday at the that was it called. So I have Straightway here on my mobile phone. That's how we navigate. And it's the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport. That's a mouthful. It's also a big airport. So, where are we going today? Well, very simple. We're doing about 500 nautical miles per flight, though the Cessna is capable of, I think, 2,000 nautical miles. We're gonna need it in a later stage around the world, but not now. So we're trying to keep the flights as manageable as possible. And so we're here. Gonna erase all the waypoints. They're still in there from yesterday. Yes. There we are. So now all the waypoints of yesterday, all the markers have been erased. Mumbai. We're gonna go east around the world. So a good stop would be, I gave it a thought, Sri Lanka, because then we can hop over to Indonesia afterwards. So today we're flying to Sri Lanka. We'll be crossing the Indian subcontinent, flying down it, and we're going to the the capital, Colombo, must be, oh, there it is, Colombo. And then the airport, here's an airport, but that seems to be a military airport. You can tell because it's because of the red striping. It's so I'm not gonna pick that one. We're gonna pick the tourist international airport. Colombo must have a big airport. I can't see it. Oh, there it is. That must be. There you go. Bandaranaike International Airport. So we're going there. We'll do that when we'll program it in Straightway. It's once we're in at cruise. But for now, we're gonna put our target there. Click on the flag in the right corner, the upper right corner, and that puts our target there. And you can see it's it's 800 nautical miles from where we are here. Just go to where we are. You can toggle between them by using these middle buttons at the right side of the screen. Yeah, okay, we'll do 800 nautical miles. That's all you need to know. And then for our how we're gonna take off, there's no ATC in these demonstrations, so we have to figure out what but there is real weather and real time, so we have to figure out, use one of those apps. This is a good one, which is called MetarTAF, and I already looked for it, because if you have to find the airport, it's a bit of a hassle because of the name. I think it has to do with the name. So right now we have 10:06 on the go. Let's get over to the cockpit. Well, we don't have power, so we need to start up the engines first. Need my glasses for that. Battery first. Parking brake set. Our yoke is functioning. And then our avionics on. And right away I'll click on the standby and the emergency lights. And now we should have our engine. We can start up the engine. Put on our beacon. And put our power to 0. Left engine startup. Yeah, it's starting up. And I think you can already, if you remove the guard, you don't have to wait for it to spool up to 20 because it's VABB. But I'm gonna wait till the left engine number 1, the left engine is fully spooled up so that it delivers power to the battery, to the generator. So we don't get into trouble for the right engine number 2. Number 2 engine. Yeah, we're at operational power. So there we are. Once that is out of the way, we can set our, so we are at 1006 hectopascals. Gonna enter that in our barometer. This, of course, has nothing to do with straightaway, but I've tried to keep the realism of flying as high as I am possible, and I am capable of. Our cruising altitude will be 40, flight level 410. There you go, and then we'll already program the flights, the climbing speeds, flight level change speed to 230. There we are, and then arm our heading. So the only thing we need to do is set our heading bug and activate the autopilot once we're in the air. Good. Now, which way do we need to take off in? With 13 knots blowing from the side at runway 2 at 320 at 30 knots. And then there is a runway 27, which is this one. If you go to straightway, and it says so 27. So we're gonna take off from that runway, and we're not gonna need all that much. I think we're gonna. I think we can even take off from here, from this intersection. But I'm not gonna take the risk. We'll take this intersection. I'm doing the calculations. So how are we gonna taxi to do there? Just this is where we need to get on the road to put a marker there, and then to here. There we know we need to turn to the right. Yep. And then we should follow to here. Here we'll turn to the left. intersection takeoff point for 27. In the meantime, I forgot to I set the target back, which was not the idea. Now I need to set it back to have to go look back. So how we solve that, if that happens again, we put a marker there. So if that happens again, then we lose our airport. Just put a marker there, and then you can always see it. Even if you zoom out, you can see it. And if we want to put our target there, okay. So we're back, and we are ready to taxi. Not quite. We need to light our taxi, runway, and navigation lights, and the logo. And hope we have clear. We gotta clear the guy. Don't think there will be a problem there. Hopefully. So we'll make a 180. Just setting up my pedals. And you should see let's start to move. Brakes release. Yeah. Oh, I don't want you to see that. We're gonna decapitate him. Yeah, we cleared our and we're now almost on the, there we are. Turning. And that's Mumbai in the background. That is a big mountain that we almost hit yesterday, remember? Which was not the idea, but thankfully we had the topographic map in the citation that helped us out a bit. But it's a challenge. Yesterday it was IFR. We landed with straightway using IFR. Just follow this curve, like so, and then we take it to the right here. And I think we need to, yeah. So I'm checking on straightway where we're going. So the target, that line points to Colombo in Sri Lanka, already to our target. Now we need to cross the runway. And tell you what, I'm gonna put on our landing lights already. Strobe and landing lights. Presumably we've we received clearance from ATC to cross the runway. And now it's straight ahead. It's a bit deceiving in the lines. And then we're almost at our turning off point, which should be here. Whoops. There it is. And this is already our holding point for runway 27, which is far away. So we're gonna pre-flight the aircraft here. There's not much to pre-flight. It's just the put on our pitot, always put on the pitot. I'm gonna also give it some more cockpit lights, even though it's a sunny day. If you get into the clouds, you never know. And the trim. So the flight planes, which is trim, which looks good. Gotta trim it down a bit. And then our flaps 15. And once we're on the runway, we'll set our bug to our... so we're cleared for takeoff. There will be a side crosswind from the right. So we have to give some left rudder to keep us on track. See how that works out. And this is runway 27. On our marks. There we are. Setting our heading bug. Okay, so we're set. And we're ready for takeoff. I'm gonna zoom out a bit, so you can see where we are flying. Brakes release and full power. We'll rotate at 110. Rotate. Yeah, that was a side wind. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. And flaps up. Let's see if we can already activate the autopilot. Activated. So we're climbing away from Mumbai. And this is Mumbai. And that was our airport. Climbing away. There are these big mountains. We yesterday had to make sure we didn't hit. And how do we look from the outside? Let's have a look from the outside. So we are over the sea, and as you can see, we're flying away from our target. So we need to start look at that haze that got us almost got us yesterday. It's very comforting. We need to turn approximately, if you look at the here, so we're flying ahead. That's the top of the compass rose. So we need to turn about 110 or 125, 145 to the left. But we're gonna do that visually, so just change the heading bug visually. And now we're turning, and we'll do the fine-tuning later on. That's the Indian Ocean, and there's Mumbai retreating. Temperature, didn't check the temperature. It was probably in the 30s Celsius. Right now it's still 11 degrees, and we're already at 10,000 feet, so imagine. Look at that, our guess was almost perfect. We're leveling out at almost at where we need to be. So we just let the Cessna settle till the course no longer change, and then we'll do our fine-tuning. Yeah, the world without ATC, with free airspace, and where you can fly VFR above 18,000 feet. That's the world we're in now. So we need to turn 11 degrees to the right. If I'm mistaken, so I'm gonna just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That solves the problem of having to calculate from magnetic to real heading, because straightaway is in real heading, in true heading, and this is nice in magnetic, of course. And I see it almost. We're still, yeah, almost there, almost at 148. Looks like we're gonna need one more. One to the right. Oh, no. Over there. So perfect. Doesn't really matter. It's still 820 nautical miles. So flying in the general direction is good enough. Gonna reduce my throttle to climb. Otherwise, we can throw away the engines. And there we are. Climbing away from Mumbai over this bay here. On our way to Sri Lanka. Crossing the the west part of the Indian subcontinent. That will be our. I don't know if there will be any landmarks on the way. We can check them with straightway, just looking at the maps, because every detail is in there. And the advantage of India is, of course, that English is an official language, so also the map, all the names are in English. If you go to like Pakistan, that's not the case. So they prefer to put everything in the local language. So straightway follows the local language. In China, if you go to China, it's only Chinese. But that's in the cultural map. So we are here in the cultural map, which means everything anthropogenic, everything man-made. If you go to the topographic map, this one, then sometimes, like here, China, and here, Mongolia, the names are also said in English. So if you're, even if you zoom in where the cities are, yeah, they have the English names. So in the topographic map, you'll find the English names. How do we go back to where we are? Just click on the current position button, and we're centered on where we are. India. So it'll be a mountainous terrain, a bit mountainous. Not that much. Well, not that matters if you're flying at 41,000 feet. And here are the Maldives. That would have been a nice stopover, but it's a bit out of our way. If we start doing that, we'll never get at the same point where we left so many days ago, which was Antwerp. That's where we started. Now it's the 19th of April. Everything is real weather and real time, so we're not gonna cut anything from the flight. That's why huge parts of it will be rather tiresome to watch. We're not doing it. We want to keep the experience of flying with straightway, getting us at our destination. Just gonna check if you're with me. Yeah. Otherwise, all will have been in vain. Wow, the stretches of the Indian subcontinent are evolving before our eyes at a very slow pace, seemingly or apparently, because we're up at well, we're 26,000 feet, and then I'm gonna switch to standard barometer just to keep the realism, and also switch off our landing lights. I never switched on our taxi lights when we're on the ground. I realize now. Don't tell anyone. Well, this is not a flight instruction video, this is a demonstration video for straightaway. Straightaway is capable of much more than we show in these videos of flying around the world, because it's just getting airborne, then flying for 2 hours, following that arrow in straightaway, and then doing a VFR, which usually only requires two waypoints for the runway. But for instance, if we have a destination that has a lot of mountains around it, and that was the case yesterday, but somehow it escaped my attention, which led to a, I'm gonna say near miss, but so that's why today we're gonna double check our destination here. And green means flat. It doesn't mean pastures, green pastures. It means it's low and flat. And then as you can see, the mountains start, and they are far away from the airport. If you the bottom left corner, if you switch the current position to the target position, so to the flag, now you can see the distance of the crosshairs, which are in the middle of the screen, to our flag, to our target. And you can see that the mountains are, well, the foothills start at 18 nautical miles from the airport. But that's enough for our VFR approach. Typically, we'll be needing like max 10, extended downwind, it's max 10 nautical miles from the threshold. So we're safe, we don't need to watch, except if they build a skyscraper 1,500 feet high, tall, but I don't think there are any in Colombo. That's something for Dubai to be wary of. Sorry, I keep rambling. Perhaps you can use these videos for sleep or something, for ASMR, or but yeah, that's what you do in these long flights. You sleep. Sri Lanka apparently has a massive central. Well, the French would call it a massif central, a central massive. In France, there's very much the same thing. In the middle of nowhere, you got this cluster of mountains, which is fascinating. If you go to France, here, it's about the same. So these are the Alps, and this is called the Massif Central, which is separate from the Alps. It's the same. So again, how do you go to Sri Lanka? Click on the little flag in the middle of the screen on the right, and then you go to where you were. And where are we vertically? 34,000 feet. That's almost there. Compulsory. Okay, so we're gonna wait till get to cruise altitude, and then we'll start programming our approach already. But the programming is a big word. We only need to do 2 or 3 things, and that's it. It's not a complicated approach, so there are no mountains. Of course, in real life, you would need to adhere to the published charts, even for VFR. You need to contact ATC, demand clearing. We don't have that here in these videos. You kind of have to assume you're in emergency and you need to. Your radio's lost and you don't have any maps. The only thing you have is straightway, and it's to show that straightway all by itself will get you safely on the ground, even in marginal IFR conditions, or even IFR, as we've shown on 2 occasions, during 3 occasions during this series. It was not all up to scratch as to the standards of what you wouldn't get your pass, get your license the way but we got there in IFR. And to tell you the truth, I'm also learning how to use through these videos, because I personally never used straightway in a real airplane. I'm not a pilot, by the way, but I did use it in the passenger compartment of an airliner, where you can follow. You have GPS reception in an airliner, no problem. And it works offline, so if you take a cross-Atlantic flight, you still have the maps. You still have you'll have the maps that you watched. So everything you watch on your phone is automatically stored in your phone's memory, because any one of these maps are really tiles. So if you change the zoom level, you click on the plus. Yeah, now you get another tile. But that's stored in. So whatever you see is automatically stored and will be available to you if you go offline. So when you're planning a route, and you're planning a route when you have a Wi-Fi connection, so in your hotel or whatever, but the planning in and of itself will put the map on your phone. You don't have to download the maps actively, so it's the act of seeing the maps on your phone that automatically puts them offline. That's how it works. So here we are.
Altitude.
We're coming up to 40,000 feet. 41,000 feet, or flight level 410, because we're in standard barometer. So if you use it in a real airplane, please give me the feedback in the comments. It will be very, very interesting to see. When I say use, I mean follow your flight straightway, not let your flight be guided by straightway. Hopefully you have your certified navigation system for that. But just to double check on straightway. And I think it could be a very powerful tool for airline pilots as a environmental awareness system. Is that how you call it? So to know where you are. It's hard to miss the runway if you have straightway, or to get on the wrong runway. So we're at cruise altitude, and we're this is what you'll be seeing for the next 2 hours. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna program our approach in straightway, and then I'm gonna go and have a nap in the back and let the Cessna fly. And when we get to our top of descent, I'll get back. That's what we're gonna do. So, programming our approach. I'm gonna switch to the cultural map, so the anthropogenic map, because that shows the runways much better and with their names and stuff. So go to your target right away. There we are. So we're gonna land. Colombo. So we're gonna find the meteorological data to get an idea of. I think we can use the. If you type in Colombo. Yeah, that must be the MeteorTaf. That's the app I'm using for the real weather at the airport. Colombo. Ratamalana, that's the one, I think. Well, it's to get, it's 6 knots, 240, so we will be VFR, great. And we'll check the barometer within 2 hours again. So we'll be landing from here to here. So that means our thresholds, our active thresholds, will be this one, and then our inactive threshold, so the one we're not passing over when we land, will be this one. And now we're gonna make a little route in straightaway. We can make only one route at a time, but it's saved automatically, so we're gonna make a little route consisting out of these 2 waypoints. And the first one is the inactive threshold, very important. And so you select the marker by clicking in it. Sorry, now you selected the other one. Well, actually we're not gonna need that other one. Delete it. So select the inactive and then add it to the route by clicking on the button on the right hand side with the plus, with the little plus, and now the first waypoint has been added. To add the second waypoint, we are just selecting the active threshold, so the last waypoint, and now we have the second added. Once we've done that, we can. We also need the elevation of the airport, so that's the last thing we need to enter or need to get, and we get that by switching maps again to the topographic, and in the topographic you have your elevation lines, and it says 10 here, so that's a good approximation for the elevation of the airport, and that's 10 meters. No worries, because straightaway accepts 10 meters and outputs feet. So go to the navigation screen. We got now 2 waypoints, so one is the inactive threshold and 2 is the active. Make sure you're on the active, so on the last waypoint of your route, because it's possible you got like 7 waypoints and the last 2 are the runway. The last 2 are always the runway. So put it on the last. How come we have 3? Hold on, just checking. Where's waypoint number 3? Oh, that's not good. This was set as a way. How do we incidentally also as a waypoint this marker? Remember the marker we used for taxiing? So just click on the button, remove it as the marker as a waypoint, and now it's removed as a waypoint. So now we have only 2 waypoints. We're gonna double check. Yeah, number 2 is the active and number 1 is the inactive. Go back to our, put it on the last waypoint. Now we got 2 waypoints. Everything okay in our cockpit. We got 2 waypoints, and we need to make sure that this is activated, the CDI, that the magenta color is showing on your screen. And then a third thing we need to do is to click on the, you see the 37, that's the course of the from 1 to 2, but we need to reverse, so we need from 2 to 1. And this is from 1 to 2. So this is from This is from 1 to 2, and we need from 2 to 1. So now we have 2 to 1. That's the direction that we'll fly in. And once you've done those 3 things, you'll see that that little airplane has appeared. If I remove the little airplane, it goes away. Now it's there back. Got it back and click on the little airplane, and this is where we can enter our elevation. But incidentally, the elevation of Mumbai was already was also 10 meters, so I don't need to change that. And the parent altitude 1500. If you were in a mountainous terrain, as perhaps we should have done in Mumbai yesterday, yeah, you can put it at 2000 or 3000, so that your descent, you stay high as long as possible. If you're incidentally in IFR, that's safer. But in this case, there are no mountains in the vicinity of the airport, so 1500 above ground level is great. Click on the orange. And go back to the screen. And now you see we have new information on the screen because we have our altitude. So straight away it now says, hey, you're using me in an aircraft for aircraft purposes, for aircraft navigation, because normally it's for hiking or cycling or sailing. Now it says, because you entered that stuff, I know you're want to do a VFR. So I'm showing you the altitude of the plane now, and I'm showing you the parent altitude and the distance to your top of descent, 534 nautical miles. There you go. So we need to wait fly 530 nautical miles in a straight line. I'm gonna adjust this. We should be at 6 degrees to the right. So I'm gonna tap in 6 degrees to the right in our buck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that should get us to 149. So the human, the pilot, is an interface between the autopilot and straightaway. That's how you should consider yourself. So you need to constantly, because there's of course no electronic link between straightaway. It's so in the airplane it will be just on your phone. So it straightaway says when you have to enter into your autopilot. That's how it works. And of course, if you don't check that regularly, yeah, you can get into problems. Especially in the final phase of flight, when you're flying your box matter, and especially in marginal IFR conditions. But as I said, I'm learning this as I go. Through these videos, I'm obliged to do the whole flight, and things come up that I perhaps didn't notice when just error checking and checking certain compartments of or parts of the phases of flight. So I'll get always a full flight from A to B, from A to C. Z. And okay. So we've got everything programmed, and all we need to do is fly to our top of descent, and that's where our I'm gonna put the belly camera on, and then also put on the map here that you can see where we are. Like so. And I'm gonna take a nap in the back of the plane, which is perfectly legal, and catch you within some time. Catch you later. was a nice little nap. So we're coming up on our top of descent. And go to the cockpit. Voila, there we have a suggested descent rate for a 2.5 degrees glide slope. We're gonna go for a 3.5, which is the well, an average kind of glide slope for even for approaches. Or glide path, should I say. So we're gonna wait for it to climb up to 3.5. And then we are gonna activate the autopilot descent rate in vertical speed mode, not in flight level change mode, because we need to track the FBM vertical per minute, feet per minute, that straightway is suggesting in the autopilot of the citation. So we're gonna put the selected altitude to, it says 1532 feet for apparent altitude, but only hundreds are possible in this citation, so 1500. Like so. And then we're just gonna wait for it to come to 3.5. Decrease glide slope. Where are we? We're just leaving the coast of India. So there it is, coastline of India. About to say goodbye to India. So this, let's see if we can identify the features here. We have must be to our right. We're looking. Hold on. If you look straight down, we get this. So we have to zoom in a bit more. Okay. This is this feature here. That's this. And that's the little islands, the two islands you see. And we are at Mariaman Nagar. That's where we leave India. It's at an airport now. So we're leaving the coast now. Looking backwards, we see India receding. We crossed all that. That's the Indian subcontinent, which took us about, the better part of 2 hours. Speed dropped a little bit while we were sleeping, taking a nap in the back. But for the rest, it worked out fine. Where are we in the meantime? We're at 3 degrees. So slowly getting ready to start our descent to Colombo. Checking 1 degree to the left, so I'm correcting that now. Sorry, the other way around. 1, 2. So we should get to 150, our track. Yep. Getting there. 150 on 150. Just what the doctor ordered. We're at 3.2. So the closer we get to Colombo, the steeper our glide slope, of course. So we're gonna wait till 3.2 or 3.3. Doesn't really matter. We can, if we want, we can start already. So why don't we go to the autopilot, to the vertical speed mode, activate, and then now it starts blinking here, so we have to. Straightaway says 2,200, so we're gonna put in 2,200. And we're starting descending, reducing power, otherwise we'll get over speeds. And we have initiated our descent to Colombo. We should be there in 20 minutes. That's typical descent time. From 40 flight level 410, takes 20 minutes to get down. Just gonna check if okay, everything looks good. $2,250, we should be at 2,300. So always take the larger number if it's straightaway says 2,250. Put in your autopilot 2,300. So descend a bit faster than what straightaway is saying. Or round up, I mean, this also works with hundreds. So take the larger number, or round up. That should keep us at 3.4. All the way to Colombo. And that's where Colombo should be. Going straight for our target. We're now in international airspace over the Gulf of, what's it called? It's not a gulf, it's a strait probably. It's you see where they join the international airspaces and territorial waters. But this here is again international waters. 12 nautical miles out. And this is the Indian Ocean, I suppose. The Maldives are on our right. Perhaps you can see them, I don't know. We should have had a look when we were way up. It's too far. You can see how far they are, the Maldives. No, they're way too far. They're 400 nautical miles away. Can't see them. $2,300 and straightaway says 2,200. Yeah, we're still fine. Gonna check the weather. Is there an update? Yeah, we got some shoes here. Close. Gonna change to get an update, so. Okay, and I'm gonna revert back to, it's 10:06 hectopascals and VFR. And the wind is 6 knots, so our runway choice is still valid. So I'm gonna put in the 10:06 as standby on the barometer. It was already set to 10:06. We did it 2 hours ago. 31 degrees. And excellent visibility, unlike Mumbai yesterday. And Karachi was also, so Mumbai and Karachi apparently they have a haze problem. Too humid. So we're descending a bit too fast, and like so. Back. $2,200. Fine, excellent. And we're descending. Sun's setting a bit. Which gives lovely lights there in the background. We have that's this Utaya. This is Utalam, the background. This peninsula. Kalpitia. No mountains. That's what interests us as pilots, or as sim pilots, or whatever. So we checked that already. It's completely flat around the airport, flat as a pool table. So we don't have to take into account any terrain. Avoidance. We're a bit off. So the yellow arrow points to our threshold. That's how it works. Gonna get to 4 degrees to the left to get correct to the yellow arrow. 1, 2. Sorry, can't do that here. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're turning. Now, if you're in a real airplane, so I just tap on my keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 3, 4 degrees to the left. Of course, in a real airplane, it's not usually 2 buttons you have to tap, but it's a turning knob, so perhaps you have to count the, there's an indent, I think there's an indent in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, or otherwise you need to see, calculate the difference from where you start, your starting heading, and where you should end. So the relative difference, not the absolute difference, because of course on your dashboard in the airplane it's in magnetic course, not true course. So try to keep it as much relative and not absolute. If that makes sense. 3.3. 2000. We're descending a bit too steep. So go to 2100. And we're at 17. I'm already going to switch to airport barometer. There we are. So we don't forget. And I'm going to switch to our landing lights already. I know it only. I need to do that at 10,000 feet. I'm gonna wait then. Just not forget it. We're gonna try now we're gonna pretend we're in IFR. So we're gonna try to fly as much with the hood without looking outside of the when we're on final. Try not to look outside the cockpit window and just look at straightway. And that's a bit of a challenge, but it's a good exercise for me as well. And the idea is to wait till the needle is on the center line, so that the what you see there is 41, the magenta number 41 nautical miles. If that drops completely to 0, then we should put our teal course, the track course, onto the magenta course, and then we should fly straight to the runway. And then it's fine-tuning from there. 1900. Center rate, let's put it to 2000. Always gave the round up to upwards. Now it's 1900. And we're gonna reduce power so that we're at 250 once we reach 10,000, and gonna switch the landing lights. There we are, lest we don't forget. So the one thing we try to avoid using in these videos is our speed brakes in the air. So straightway, if you use straightway the way it should, you should never need your speed brakes. This means you haven't watched straightway accurately enough or frequently enough. We're below 250. Coming in approach territory. That's the view. That's broken, I think. There it's view. There it's scattered, or broken. Will be broken over the airport. Got the impression. But anyway, it's a VFR. 3 degrees to the left. So as soon as we hit well, there's no reason why we should. We can already start joining the center line. So don't really fly the close airport box pattern, but we're at 25 nautical miles, so that's why don't we already start flying at right angles to the perpendicular. That's the word, perpendicular to the center line. So we're kind of in our right base leg, a very large right base leg, and we overshot it a bit. Well, should be a perfect right angle. And straightway takes it into account for the descent rate. So it should be 1100. So there we are. No, we're not yet there. I said right angles. So turn a little bit to the right. And that should do the trick. Okay, so we'll keep flying. We'll keep flying this this heading until we intercept the localizer, if you want to call it that way. So till the eye needle is on the center, and then we'll turn to our runway heading, which is 217 true north. And once we've done that, we'll try track as much as possible the center line. Pretend that we are in IFR. But now we can watch. Oh, just to enjoy the scenery. So the airport should be there somewhere. And we're really move with the coastline now. This is Sri Lanka. .13 nautical miles away from the center line. Our cross-track error to the center line. So our perpendicular distance to the center line is 13.3. That's our cross-track error. And once that drops to 2, the needle will start moving and we'll start initiating our turn to the right to catch the... so a 90 degrees turn to the right. That's our plan. And at that time, we'll still be a decent distance away from our threshold, so we have time to stabilize on the localizer. We're descending much slower now because we're not flying directly to the threshold. 800, so put it to 800. Very, very gently descending now. We're at 2.6 glide slope now. I repeat, we're very comfortable descending so early because we checked the terrain and there's no mountains, and there are no skyscrapers. Well, we don't match any. Normally in real life you should watch a sectional VFR chart, of course, but we're not doing that. We've got our little terrain warning here, but it says nothing. There's nothing to see of the built-in navigation system of the citation, where there's nothing to see. As expected, as planned. Just making sure my pedals are set for the landing after a 2-hour flight. Adjusting our course a little bit that we are at perfect right angles with the center line. Five nautical miles, so gonna extend laps 1 already. Even we're still descending. But then, because then that's
altitude.
Normally you should do that only once you're in the Barren, but our speed was good, so. Our needle will start moving shortly, and then we'll initiate our turn. Watch it, 2.2. At 2 it will start moving. Oh, we got a terrain warning, and we move. Start to turn. Not completely 90 degrees, we want to have some margin to adjust, to correct, otherwise we'll overshoot. See what I mean? A bit more. So the red means we're the angle is too shallow to start descending, so we have to wait till we're at 0.3 nautical miles from the okay, and now we should go to shooting a bit, but we still got the 7 nautical miles to make up for that. select our altitude for 0, so we can use the vertical speed. So again, we are narrowing our distance to the... I said I'm not watching the runway, I'm trying to watch only my... Oh, you hear the beacon already. 217. Turning green, ready to start descending. 217. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So I'm putting our track on 217. 3.5. Get ready to activate our descent rate. And yeah, I'll do that now. 900. Gear out. We should have put our gear out earlier. And there it is. See, so we aligned up without... we're off, so I'm gonna deactivate...
Autopilot.
Yeah. Autopilot. And fly the rest manually. So, yeah. If we had... would have had VFR conditions, perhaps. That might have been hairy, but VFR. Stabilizing now. Some time to stabilize. Got some ballooning there. Not the best landing, but we're on the ground. As is the idea, we should always get on the ground. So welcome to Colombo. And we'll have a look at the runway, which is the best... oh, it's on the left, so we need to find a place to get this one. There we are. And just configure for taxiing. Our strobe off and our landing lights on. And also our pitot heating. Never always forget to do that. That's why we have checklists in airplanes, but I don't use a checklist. Where are we gonna go? To the this looks like a nice place. So put your marker here, and we have to turn to the left. The sun is just setting. And that should be here. There we go, right on track. Well, just gonna put it somewhere on the apron. There's no marshalling people. Okay. And then when we know where to start next time. So, welcome to Colombo. It's, what's the temperature? It's 31 degrees. Yep, 31 degrees. And it's, I think it's 16:37, yeah, 17, 5 o'clock in the evening. Just before sunset. Hope you found this interesting, useful, and hope you one day you will use straightway in a real airplane. And as I said, I'm learning to use it myself as I go. I wrote it, but that doesn't mean you can use it. So, and so to me, these series are also very educational. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.